So before a lunch break, which we're going to get today, the good thing is now we have the A pre-final for senior road tax. 13 minutes plus an additional lap set on the timer. Red lights ignited on the starting gantry. Here's your starting order. So Callum Bradshaw will start from pole position after having won the intermediate classification yesterday. Luca Lystra will be alongside him on the front row. Mark Kimber and Sean Butcher round out the top two rows ahead of Aaron Walker and Finland's Juho Valtonen. Lachlan Robinson from the United Arab Emirates will line up alongside Teresa Babičková from the Czech Republic on row 4. Max Stemmerink from the Netherlands and Dylan Hay from Belgium. They complete the top 10. Danny Prince and Lars Zanin, row 6. David Lackner and Sweden's Patrick Rundqvist, row 7. Erhard Turker and Danny van Ruyten, row 8. Christian de Klein and Nuna Blom, row 9. Lewis Gilbert and Noah Hipp, row 10, completing the top 20. Nick Cuppens, Patrick Lochmelis, Vilgot Edqvist, Lester Ellencup, Buzz Janssen, Sam Bergstein, Micha Barthelemy, Eliska Babičková, Milan Coppens, Luca Thiel round out the top 30 ahead of Paul Fokkema, Thomas Martins, Emily de Hoys, Ralf Winkel, James Lingard and Storm Brouwer. Those were the top 6 that were confirmed to make it through to the A category for senior road tax for the pre-final and the final. And we are quite an interesting statistic, which I'll divulge now. We are 3 away from having a total of 100 front-fairing penalties given away this weekend. That's how much ring rust there still is. But obviously, it's been a long winter. The drivers have had to get themselves back up to racing speed. And this weekend will help those competing in the Road Tax Max Euro Trophy next weekend, which will take place between the 9th and the 11th of April and kickstart their season, which goes all the way through to the first weekend of September. So we will be back in 3 months' time after this weekend, but we'll be in Marienborg in southern-eastern Belgium. But it will be Callum Bradshaw and Luca Lystra. They will lead the field, but the rest of them need to catch up on the formation lap before we get racing. Otherwise, the race director will not allow a clean start. Into the tram lines we go. Looks like we've got a really good start, and Callum Bradshaw gets ahead of Luca Lystra. Looks like Mark Kimber's trying to go up the inside of the Belgian, trying to go into turn 2, makes the move stick. Mark Kimber nearly, well, it looks like Aaron Walker nearly went through there as well. Sean Butcher rounding out the top 4 positions. Well, it looks like Butcher is down into 5th place behind and ahead of teammate Lachlan Robinson, who's got past Juho Valtonen from Finland. So a good showing from the 2 KR Sport drivers initially to keep themselves at the sharp end of the grid. But with Strawberry Racing controlling the pace with Messrs Bradshaw and Kimber, it looks like in the initial phase. It looks like there was a no start there, so they have reset the timers. I think I got ahead of myself there. So yeah, looks like we're going to have a reset on that particular occasion. So the drivers will have to re-steady themselves. So that's the thing with the green lights, well, the red lights on the gantry, they reignite for a second time. So again, we have a full start situation. But this time, hopefully, we'll be back up to speed very, very quickly indeed. Take 2 once again for Senior Road Tax, A pre-final here at Karting Genk for race 2 of the opening round of the 2020-21 season. Looks like this time, have we gotten away cleaner this time? We have, and it looks to be a good start again from Callum Bradshaw as they filter their way nearly 3 abreast going into turn 2 for the first time. That could get very nasty very quickly. 4 abreast nigh on going through the exit of turn 2. They're allowed to use the runoff area going through turn 2 for the first time. Looks like a good getaway from Callum Bradshaw at the front of the field as it's nearly 3 abreast at the back part of the field as they're all trying to struggle their way through. So Callum Bradshaw leads the field. Looks like Luca Lystra again on the second time of asking. This time he's actually dropped down into 5th position. And he's got Lachlan Robinson a couple of positions behind. So at the moment, looks to be Bradshaw leading Kimber. And then possibly Aaron Walker just up ahead as more positions changing a bit further down the field as they come round to complete lap number 1 of this race. A couple of GKS drivers, looks like Dylan Lahaye and Lars Zanin factoring in, and they're completing the top 10. So Bradshaw leads from Kimber, Walker, Butcher. And it is very much the case that Babičková ahead behind Lystra, Robinson in 7th, exactly where he started this race. But he managed to get up into 6th initially. Down the Europalan they go. Into turn 7, Bradshaw leading, Kimber in second, Walker, Butcher, Lystra, Babichkova, Robinson. Valtonen has dropped down into 8th position, and he is the head of the GKS duo of Dylan LaHaye and Lars Zanen. They've got Max Stemmerdink and Dams Racing's Danny Prynes just behind them. But Bradshaw looking to seal initial advantage as there's a move by Lystra up the inside of Sean Butcher through turn 12. So Lystra takes 4th position from the defending champion and has got Lachlan Robinson right behind him as they both get past, well, they nearly both get past Luka Lystra as Teresa Babichkova gets past the Dubai-based driver, so he drops another position down. As a result of that, so Babichkova and Lachlan Robinson trying to get through past Luka Lystra. Babichkova has got the move done. Robinson a little far behind as they close up in the braking zone. Looks like Dylan LaHaye's made some headway here as he's trying to fend his way past Juho Valtonen, the 2019 champion, down in 9th position. So just under 10.5 minutes still to go. And Bradshaw, Kimber and Walker for Strawberry Racing. They are leading the way, but Sean Butcher is trying to close them down. The defending reigning champion from KR Sport, running under a UK licence, but family originally comes from Australia, as Robinson trying to force the issue a little bit there with Luka Lystra, and that means Teresa Babichkova in the 369 is starting to get away, but Robinson needs to make some headway. He gets up the inside of Lystra, who instantly counter-attacks through turn 7. Lystra's going to have the inside run going through turn 7. He bumps over the curbs. Robinson drifts wide. Oh, he goes sideways and he catches it and still keeps it up the inside going through turn 8 on Juho Valtonen. But Robinson getting pressure from all sides. That includes Dylan LaHaye, Max Stemmerdink alongside the 2019 champion. So now Lachlan Robinson having to fight. But Lystra hung Robinson out to dry going through the exit, through into turn 7 off of the Europalan. So Robinson needs to start fighting back. He's got 9.25 minutes to do so, and he's on the back bumper of Juho Valtonen as LaHaye goes up the inside of Stemmerdink going through into turn 2. Seems like a couple of the Dams Racing drivers, including Nick Cuppens, who's in 13th. Looks like he's gotten up into 12th place at this particular moment, this particular juncture, as now Robinson gets past Valtonen going through turn 6. So Robinson back up into P7. And there we have LaHaye, looks like Stemmerdink just behind, and also Danny Prynes just behind them as well. Danny van Ruyten is a little bit further back than probably where he would like to be, but Lachlan Robinson now starting to chase down Luka Lystra in 6th position. And at the moment, Callum Bradshaw, from what I understand, it might have been that he might have had an issue in the last race, as there is another move, and that was Lewis Gilbert, who started 19th, and he's got his way past Patrick Rundqvist up for 12th position. So the Dorey Diamond, who was actually disqualified for technical non-compliance for one of the heats, it actually took away one of his victories yesterday. So Gilbert on the comeback trail as well. There's Lachlan Robinson once again. He's trying to close on Luka Lystra, and actually Robinson, who was fastest in morning warm-up, with a 54.0 this morning, he was a 10.5 quicker than Luka Lystra. Gap between them 7.5 tenths at this particular juncture. So Bradshaw leads from Kimber by just over 5 tenths of a second. Aaron Walker a further nigh on 6 tenths adrift. Sean Butcher goes in and puts in a 54.3, but Lewis Gilbert has put in the fastest lap of anybody. That was a couple of laps ago, 54.2 from the Dorey Diamond, as we now go on to lap number 7 of this Senior Rotax A pre-final. This will decide the grid for the final a little bit later on this afternoon. Senior Rotax A final will actually close the action here at 16:25. That's when the race starts, barring any stoppages or any delays, as the leaders now make their way through into turn number 8. So Bradshaw puts in a personal best of 54.244, but Lewis Gilbert sets the timing screens alight, and he's gone fastest of anybody in this race once again, a 54.173 from the Dorey Diamond, who is now still in 12th position. And closing on Nick Cuppins as Lachlan Robinson has closed in to within striking distance of Luca Lystra. The Dubai-based driver now goes up the inside of the Belgian. Robinson, based in Dubai, has Australian parents, but also was born in the United Kingdom down in Kent. So he does have dual nationality, but runs under an Emirati licence. And he will be here competing with over in excess of 170 drivers next week at this very circuit for the opening round of the Euro Trophy, where he placed third last season after the season finale at Adria in late October. We are now into the last 6 minutes of this race. James Lingard, having qualified down, and now he was 35th at the beginning of this race. James Lingard has made up a significant amount of positions, 16. He's up to 19th as the Brit in the 336, closing on the Dutch driver Christian de Klein in the 399. So James Lingard making some headway in this race. So whilst others are losing their heads, he is keeping his rather cool and calm and collected at the moment. Gap between the two leaders, Callum Bradshaw and Mark Kimber, extends now to just under 9.5 tenths of a second. And Bradshaw has been running in the last 3 laps. He's been running in the 54.2s for every single lap. A 54.244 3 laps ago, 54.254, and then a personal best of a 54.234. So good consistency, but Lachlan Robinson has got the fastest lap of the race. The 17-year-old in the 316 from KR Sport puts in a 54.170. And now the first person he's got ahead of him, there is some clean air. He can go after that gap. It's 1.2 seconds previously between himself and Teresa Babišková. But this time the gap is now down to just under 1.1 seconds. So Robinson took about the best part of a 10th and a half out of Teresa Babišková on that particular occasion. 4.5 minutes to go. Bradshaw leads from Kimber, Butcher, Walker, Teresa Babišková, Lachlan Robinson, Luca Lystra, Juho Valtonen, Dylan LaHaye and Danny van Ruyten rounding out the top 10. Lewis Gilbert in 11th, having started 19th. Patrick Rundqvist in 12th, ahead of Nick Cuppins, Max Stemmerink, Vilgot Edqvist running in 15th position. Erhard Turker in 16th, ahead of Danny Prince. James Lingard now up into 18th, ahead of Christian de Klein, with Mika Barthélemy from France running out the top 20. Lester Ellenkamp, Eliska Babišková, Milan Coppens, Noah Hip, Patrick Slokmelis, Luna Blum, Paul Fokkema, Storm Brouwer running out the top 28, with Buzz Janssen and David Lackner running out the top 30, with Sam Bergstein, Luca Thiel, Emily de Hoys, Ralf Finkel, Thomas Martins and Lars Zanen rounding out the 36 strongest. There's a bit of a battle here. Oh my goodness me. That was Juho Valtonen, because Lewis Gilbert has now got himself up 10 places into 9th position with just under 4 minutes to go. And that behind him is Danny van Ruyten, I believe. So Danny van Ruyten battling over 10th position, and here comes Patrick Rundqvist. Oh, gives Valtonen a bump from behind. Van Ruyten loses out big time there, big time, because Max Stemmerink got through in the process. Nick Cuppins is there in the five-way scrap in this particular party here on the circuit, with just over 180 seconds remaining. So some good battling up and down the order. There is some argy-bargy, but as they say, karting is a non-contact sport, but rubbing is racing. Leaders have now made their way through. And looks like there has been a little bit of a closing up, and also there has been a positional change. Sean Butcher has got his way past Aaron Walker. So the Strawberry Racing stronghold on the top 3 in the pre-final for Senior Rotax A has quickly been undone. And at the moment, there are still drivers pushing like crazy. Lachlan Robinson trying to get himself up into the top 5 as he is closing in on the Czech Republic's Teresa Babišková. Butcher now starting to stretch the legs on the 301 Cosmic chassis, provided and powered by KR Sport. Going through into turns 11, now into the right-hand sweeper at 12. Let the kart drift to the left-hand side and allow the engine to really breathe nicely, going down this short front straightaway into turns 1 and then into 2. And drivers still pushing like crazy. Lachlan Robinson still holds the fastest lap of the race. Lester Ellenkamp down in 21st, closing on Mika Barthélemy, looking to get into the top 20. So there's going to be a big group coming along shortly. There it is. There's 5 of them in there. And in the midst of all that, looks like Juho Valtonen is right towards the back part of that train. Danny van Ruyten is there too. So Max Stemmerdink at the front of that. Looks like Patrick Rundqvist is just behind. So Lewis Gilbert has scarpered off into the distance and is closing on the 2019 Senior Road Tax champion for BNL, Dylan LaHaye. The 329 versus the 328. Robinson closing on Babičkova for 5th place. Bradshaw goes on to lap number 14 and has a lead of 1.2 seconds ahead of Mark Kimber. So Sean Butcher, P3. Again, this group here. Oh, my goodness me. Patrick Rundqvist fires it up the inside well and truly on Max Stemmerdink. And the Swede takes 10th position on lap number 14, going through turn number 2. And then you've got Danny van Ruyten, Juho Valtonen, Nick Cuppens. Valtonen was at the sharp end of the grid. And again, he has dropped like the proverbial stone. It's not helped the Finnish driver out. However, he has been known to provide some good flashes of brilliance when they are required as the timer counting down. We are into the last 25 seconds of this race. And I've just seen Lachlan Robinson has closed within striking distance of Teresa Babičkova for P5 as she takes a quick look over her right shoulder to see where Robinson is. Robinson nearly went past through turn 2, but if he gets a good run coming out of turn 6 onto the Europlan, he can use that momentum and the slipstream to get past the Czech Republic driver to take P5 at the checkered flag. But Callum Bradshaw, the FIA World Karting Champion, is coming through turn 8 for the final time, or the penultimate time. So we're on lap number 15 out of 16. Mark Kimber rounds out the top 2. Sean Butcher in P3 and is closing on the number 364 for 2nd position, so might have a chance. And there's the move from Robinson on Babičkova to take P5, but she will not give that position up without a fight. Robinson goes defensive into T12. As the leaders now on the 16th and final lap of this race. Robinson looks to see where Babičkova is. He goes defensive going into turns 1 and 2. So a good defensive work from the Dubai-based driver through turn 3. Neatly takes the apex and takes a little bit of curve there as well. Makes it nice and cleanly through turn 5. Babičkova looking to get the switchback. Can't make it happen through 6. Will she get the run on Robinson going through into turn 7? Robinson goes defensive before the apex. Neatly done, but then Babičkova looks for the switchback going through into turn 8. Robinson denies her right there and then. But Callum Bradshaw very, very quickly will be on his way to take the checkered flag here in the A pre-final for Senior Road Tax as Robinson holds on. LaHaye holding on in front of Gilbert as well. Gilbert trying to do everything he can to get past. But it looks like the checkered flag is going to wave. Callum Bradshaw wins the pre-final. Mark Kimber, Sean Butcher and Aaron Walker make it an all-British top 5. And Dubai's very own Lachlan Robinson takes P5 ahead of Teresa Babičkova. Luka Lystra drops all the way down to 7th position. Dylan LaHaye in 8th. A great recovery drive from the dual ride diamond Lewis Gilbert from 19th to 9th position at the checkered flag and was within 2/10 of the 2019 champion. Patrick Rundqvist rounds out the top 10 ahead of Max Stemmerdink, Nick Cuppens, Juho Valtonen ending up in 13th at the end of that all, ahead of Danny van Ruyten and James Lingard. Ehad Turka in 16th ahead of Danny Prince, Vilgot Edqvist, Eliska Babičkova in 19th ahead of Lester Allenkamp, who rounded out the top 20. Mika Barthelemy in 21st, Paul Fokkema in 22nd, Patrick Slock-Mellis in 23rd ahead of Luna Blum, Stormbrouwer, Milan Coppens, Noah Hip, Bas Janssen, Emily de Hoys, Sam Bergstein, Thomas Martins, Lars Zanin, Ralf Winkel, David Lagner and Luca Thiel rounding out the 35 that completed the full 16-lap race distance, with unfortunately Christian de Klein in the 3:99 entry retiring on lap number 13.